This video clip is for task 3 on your Learning Objectives 5 and 6 sheet. So this activity is going to get you to do a simulation, a computer simulation of the effect of pH on enzyme activity. So in tasks 1 and 2 you would have looked at what pH was and how pH affected enzyme activity, and now we're going to see that in an experiment. So you'll need to access this document here. So this is on Google Classroom. It's called Enzyme and pH Simulation, or you can get the hard copy from the white folder by the door. You'll also need this website, which is here, and that website has a link on the task sheet on task 3. So you'll find the link there. So go to your task sheet and click on that. So you'll need both of those documents open at the same time. So the first thing that you need to do is have a look at this document, the copy of what you're going to be actually doing. So we need to rewrite the purpose of the activity as a hypothesis first of all. So I've given you some instructions here. I've said in the box below, hypothesize whether decreasing the pH, so making the conditions more acidic, will increase or decrease enzyme activity. So you can have a guess. You don't know which enzyme is in the simulation, so really you can't get it wrong. You're just guessing about whether it's going to increase or decrease enzyme activity. So you can fill in your hypothesis in this box. So I hypothesize that making the conditions more acidic by decreasing the pH will, and then you write either increase the enzyme activity or decrease the enzyme activity. Okay, once you've done that, it's time to look at the control variables. So the control variables, you need to control certain variables in this simulation. So I'm going to talk about 3 that are going to relate to the simulation, and then you're going to fill them into the box. So you might like to pause and go back so that you can get them all. So on the simulation website, you'll see that there are all these different things that you need to control. So the enzyme number, this is the number of enzymes that are going to appear in the experiment. 1 is going to make the enzymes go really slowly, so we're going to increase that number to 3. So that's the first control variable, the number of enzymes in the experiment. So you might like to write that down in the first control variable box, the number of enzymes in the experiment. How they're going to be controlled is we're going to have 3 enzymes. So you can write we will have 3 enzymes. And then for the why they need to be controlled, it's because if you have too many enzymes, the reactions are going to happen faster, and if you have too few enzymes, then the reactions are going to be slower. So that is the reason for why. The next thing we're going to control are the number of substrates. So that's the number of substrate particles that the enzymes can bang into and catalyze. So we're going to keep it at 20. So you might like to write in your control variable box that we're going to keep the amount of substrates the same. And how we're going to keep that the same is we will have 20 substrate molecules. Why that needs to be controlled? Well, if we have more than 20 substrate molecules, then the enzymes are going to have to do a lot more work to catalyze all of them, and so they'll probably be slower. And if we have less than 20, then the enzymes will have to do less work, and so they'll catalyze them faster. So that is why. Another variable that we're going to have to control, an important one, is temperature. So temperature can affect enzyme activity rate really rapidly, and that's something you're going to look at a little bit later on this task sheet. But for now, we're going to keep the temperature at about room temperature, which is 25 degrees. So check that your simulation when you start has a temperature of 25 degrees. There are a couple other things you'll have to check as well, like the container size. We're going to leave it at 400, and pH to start with, we're going to leave it at 7, but that's actually going to be our independent variable, the thing that we're going to change. So going back to temperature, that's another control variable. The last one you can put in would be control variable temperature. And then how it's going to be controlled, it's going to be kept at 25 degrees. And why it needs to be controlled, well, having a higher or lower temperature affects enzymes' rate of activity, which we'll learn more about later on. Okay, so once you've checked that you've got those things, so you've got 3 enzymes set up, you've got everything else the same, then you click the Setup button. That Setup button will then pop these up, and you can see that there's a key here. So at the moment, these green blobs are our 3 enzymes, and these blue dots there are substrates. So there should be 20 of those blue dots in here. There are no inhibitors because the number is on 0, and currently there's no products because the experiment hasn't started yet. If we look back here, we're going to follow through this method. So it says click on the link, and that will take you to the simulation website. So that's this website here. Then it says collect a stopwatch, or you can use your phone's stopwatch if you want to. Change the number of enzymes to 3 using the tab, as I've just shown you. So go to the website, change it to 3 using these buttons. Make sure the substrate is 20, inhibitor 0, temperature 25, container 400, and pH 7 to start with, as explained above in your control variables. So we've checked all those things. Now we can click Setup. When you click Setup, make sure you get your stopwatch ready. So clicking Setup the first time will just take you to this page, but then you're going to click this button in a few moments and you need to have your stopwatch ready when you do so. Okay, as you click Start, the Start button, you need to also start your stopwatch. Watch your stopwatch and time for 30 seconds. When 30 seconds is up, you need to click the Stop button. So clicking Start will make the reaction happen. So you can see that these enzymes are bumping into the substrate molecules. The substrate molecules are hitting their their active sites, and they're being catalyzed and changed into products. So that is what's happening there. 30 seconds is up, we click Stop. What you do now is count the number of these product molecules. So that's the next step here. Record the number of products formed, red dots, and record it on the table below for pH 7. So the table below is down here, and I've put pH 7 in grey because that's where you're going to start recording your data. So trial number 1. So if we had a look at this one, mine's just an example, it's not for real, but if we count these up, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 product molecules after 30 seconds. So you will write 9 in this box. Then you will go back here, or you'll follow your instructions, which says press Setup again. So pressing Setup again refreshes everything, and we're back to where we started. And then you'd repeat steps 4 to 7 2 more times for pH 7. So again, repeat the steps and write down the data for trial 2 and 3. Then we're going to change the pH level. We're going to decrease it. So we're going to make it more acidic first of all, and then we'll go back and make it more basic afterwards. So change the pH to 5. So back in your simulation, you then change your pH here to 5. Everything else has to remain the same because it's a fair test, and those are the control variables that we talked about. So pH is the only independent variable, the only thing that we are changing. Repeat steps 4 through to 8 for pH of 5, fill it in on your table, and then go through and do the other pHs as well. So 3, 1, 9, 11, and 13. Once you've done that, you're going to make a graph using either Google Sheets or a hard copy piece of paper from between the speakers at the front of the room. Insert the graph or attach it here, and then go down and write your conclusion. Remember, when you write a conclusion, it needs to link to your purpose and also explain the trend in your results, so what you see in your graph, and include some specific data points. When you've done this, you can either turn it in or give it to me to have a check, and then I can give you your 15 points.